we have Jimmie Rivera back on the show now, who just had his BKFC debut against Howard Davis, ended in a majority draw at BKFC 26. Jimmie, how you doing?
Good, you?
Good, man. Appreciate the time as always. And I just want to start with, the end result for this fight. And I'm sure it's not what you wanted. I'm sure you wanted to get your hand raised with a unanimous decision victory or even a finish. So just how pleased are you and your team with the overall performance?
It was a really close fight. I mean, I went in there with our number one guy, Howard Davis. And uh, it was questionable knockdown we had in the third round, which was a little weird. The punch started after the bell, so I've heard in the rules that it doesn't count as a knockdown, but the fact that the ref didn't give me a standard 10 count too. So we're a little, question about that. But besides that, I had a blast. Howard's a tough opponent, and we went in there and definitely put on a show for the fans.
How different was it for you to fight BKFC versus, in the UFC? Because obviously, you're known for your high level wrestling ability and you can't really use it to your full advantage in a BKFC fight. So just run me through your mindset, getting ready for this fight and just the differences.
Yeah, in the clinch, it helped out a lot. In the first round towards the end of the second round, I had to get used to the clinch, but head position and being able to wall wrestle helped me with the clinch. It was just a striking. They do a lot of dirty boxing, and it was just in the clinch it was a little different. So it definitely took me a second to figure it out, but I think I got it pretty good by the end of the second round. And I love boxing, so I had a blast just get in there and just throwing my hands at boxing.
Was it easier on your body as far as the training camp goes to get ready for this fight? Because you're not having to practice takedown defense, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, all that other stuff. It must have been a little bit easier on your body getting ready for it, right?
Yeah, it was definitely way easier on my body. I didn't have to do so much. I mean, people don't realize, you're doing MMA, you have to box and kickbox and wrestle and wall work and jiu-jitsu. Like, there's so much you have to do. To focus on one thing was very nice and fun.
So with MMA gloves versus, with BKFC, that you have wraps, but that's it. So looking at it from the outside in, it just seems like you get hurt more in BKFC or get cut open more, but that's not always the case. What was that like? And just run me through your mindset as far as preparing for that.
You definitely easier to get cut more, without the gloves for sure. And bare knuckle. I think the biggest thing was, hurting your hands. Like, I think God I walked out, my hands were okay. But, Davis came out and we talked afterwards the fight. Really cool guy. And his hand was fucked up. It was swollen. And he said he hurt it beforehand, but I know he hit me on the top of the head with one of the shots. And when you hit one of those shots, it sucks. Your hand's not going to feel the same.
Now, this must have been, I guess, a little bit challenging for you because as you were, making your walk to the ring and all of that, your wife is getting ready potentially maybe to add another addition to the family. What was that like as far as your mentality goes? Because I'm sure that must have distracted you a bit, I would think.
No, not at all.
Well,
I just called her after the fight and that was it, just to make sure she was okay. And we weren't adding another one to the family until I got back.
Okay, but that's all happened now and all is good. You have another baby girl, right?
Still hasn't happened. We had some close calls, so still hasn't happened yet. Honestly, don't know when it's going to happen. It's supposed to happen soon. If it doesn't happen this weekend, then sometime next week for sure. But we thought we had a close call. She wasn't feeling good when I called her after the fight.
Okay. Well, geez, for some reason I thought that you guys already brought another little one into the world. I'm sure.
No, it was weird. The first one just wanted to get out. This one doesn't want to come out, so it makes me seem more like it's gonna take after my wife, and our firstborn takes after me. So it should be interesting to see what kind of personality we get in 6 to 12 months.
Oh, very good. Congratulations on all your
Thank you. I appreciate
it.
Yeah.
That's going to be going great for you here moving forward. Now, as far as BKFC goes and just the venue, the fans, all of that, what was that like in comparison to the UFC? Are the fans rowdy or the same?
Fans are cool. The arena was packed. I heard a lot of cheering during the fight and after the fight. Working with BKFC, they're really, they work with you. So, if there's a problem or something like that, they try to get it done and solve it for you or whatever it is. Besides that, it was fun. It was a pleasure just getting back and competing. The organization, Dave Feldman's a great guy, and, it's working out. And We haven't talked yet, but I'll probably soon talk about maybe, what the next thing is, whether it is to rematch David, which I'm not sure because I don't, I could be back by October, but I don't know when he could be back. I know his hand was really messed up after the fight. So, the earliest I'm looking to get back to compete would be October. You know what I mean? But it all depends on what plan they have for us. And, maybe that comeback fight, if it is Davis, it's a rematch and we could fight for the belt at 145.
Yeah, and I know that's what you want, is to do that rematch and fight for the belt. If that doesn't come to fruition, there's a couple of guys that you fought in the UFC that are over there at BKFC. I know Dodson's fighting at a smaller weight class. Marcus Brimage is there too. Do either of those excite you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really, I don't know yet. I haven't done my next match, so I don't know how it's gonna be. UFC, they're like, this is who you're fighting, or they give you two options and you pick the two. You don't really get to usually pick. So with Dave, it should be interesting to see what happens. I can see them on the rematch, but I don't want to be out. I don't know how long it's gonna take for Davis to be back. I don't want to be out over 6 months. You know what I mean? I want to get within the next 3 to 4 months. I want to get back in there and fight again. So I'm not one of those people that are looking at to be out for that long. So with that said, I don't know. Hopefully, maybe towards the end of this month, I'll have a better idea what the idea is to be back, time frame, who to fight, if Davis is going to be able to fight, or he's going to be out for a little while. So I'm gonna have to kind of play it by ear and go from there.
All right. And I know you just recently turned 33 years old. And I know that because we both have the same birthday, June 29th. So,
Oh, happy birthday, man!
yeah, man, happy birthday to you as well. And it just makes me intrigued to know like where you're at right now with, what your motivation is moving forward. Like, what are you hoping to accomplish, as a combat sport athlete before you, walk off into the sunset, whether it's coaching and do something else?
Um, I definitely haven't closed my door to MMA, and the nice thing about with bare knuckle is I could do both. Um, I want to see what Dave has storing for me, and depend on what Dave says, and see what Malgi has, also my manager for MMA, and kind of go from there. Um, definitely looking in BKFC to win the 45 belt, and then go up to 55 and challenge Palomino for his belt.
What is your current relationship with the UFC? And is there a reason maybe why you didn't re-sign with the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't burn any bridges or anything like that. I was a free agent. I finished my contract. I was making really good money compared to some of the guys that are in there. The last fight I had with Pedro Munoz, I was making a lot more than he was, which I was surprised. Um, so when there was an opportunity to leave and explore other places, I took advantage of that, and really, see what was out there to offer. The contract with BKFC is, first I can fight with them, and I'm allowed to do MMA. But the second thing is the pay is a lot more than UFC, so it makes it a lot worth it. To go in there and fight for an organization is going to pay you.
Mm. I know a lot of fans, a lot of the hardcores were disappointed to see you not re-sign with the UFC. Do you feel that there could be that reunion down the road? Like, would you want to go back?
There could be. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I went back, my next MMA fight or any fight coming up, whatever I end up doing, it's gonna be at 45. I've felt so much better fighting at 45. I'm not cutting so much weight. I feel 10 times better. So with that said, if anything I end up coming back to is gonna be 45 in MMA. I don't know where or what yet, but that is definitely a thing. I mean, the training camp. I had a long training camp from November when I was supposed to fight in Triller, and that fell through, and then fight in May against Dat, who got hurt. And then finally Davis, I finally get an opponent that, shows up, which I appreciate. I told him thank you. The whole time training and having to be at a 145 was a tremendous difference. I didn't have to cut muscle. I wasn't dying during training camps because I was cutting weight or anything like that. I felt fucking great. So I don't really like the aspect of, I did it for so long at this point in my life and my career. I think, I found a home at 45. I enjoyed it, and I could obviously do, I could do really well at 35 too as well. It's just that if I want to put my body to that struggle as I get older, I don't have, knock on wood, aches or pains, but it's a lot to cut that weight to 35, and I am a big, 35er. So it's not like it's like, oh, okay, I need you to make 35 in 2 or 3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, I'll get close to, 40, 45 sucking out, but that last 5 pounds are always the toughest. So at the end of the day, I'll see what happens and what it brings to me. I kind of just, once people present me options, I kind of just sit down and weigh them out. Will I be back in the UFC? I don't know. I mean, it was nice going to bare knuckle, sitting down with Dave and having a game plan where in the UFC you can win 7, 8 fights, but it doesn't mean you're gonna get a title fight, you know? So I'm in it more for just competing in the martial arts aspect and having fun. I mean, at the end of the day, I probably have only 2 boring fights in my career. And that was just because, my opponents of, when I fought Sterling and when I fought Dotson, where they were just running the whole time and they didn't want to stay in the pocket. So that's a boring fight. But with like my last fight was Davis, we were excited. We were going at each other, and he was willing, he was game to throw down. So, I appreciate that. I love when someone is like that, and I enjoy it a lot. I don't know what's next.
Okay. Well, since you're mentioning 45, I got to get your opinion on what took place between Volkanovski and Holloway. I mean, my goodness, Alexander Volkanovski is an absolute stud. And I really didn't anticipate him to do what he did to Max. Did you? And what was your takeaway on it?
I think he's finally realizing that it might be a brain thing where he's overthinking it. That happens a lot of athletes. Or it's just he got better, one of the two. I feel like maybe he looked back at the tape and realized he could do so much better. I mean, usually that last fight, not the very last fight, but the second fight was Max. I had Max winning the fight. I didn't have Volkanovski winning. But this fight was just a tremendous upside down fight. It's tremendously different. So he's definitely doing better. It's kind of interesting to see if he goes up to 55. I see Sterling calling out him, but Sterling's only had 1 title defense against Jan, and actually that one title fight, that's not even a title defense because the first fight they never finished. So he's got to kind of defend it. You got to kind of establish your spot. I think Volkanovski has established his spot. So I think, him at 55 would be great to see. He was a big guy, so I know he was a rugby player and came down. So it'd be kind of interesting to see that. And then for Izzy, not the most exciting fight, but I don't think there's anybody right now that can beat him at 185. I think the only person they're trying to talk about and push is the guy that he lost to in kickboxing. But I don't know, man. Sometimes you lose, and I think Izzy's one of those guys who learns from his losses and gets better with it. And I think from that fight and just in general how he's been, I think he'll get better with it. He's just kind of it's hard when you're a champ. I think you got, I've been a champ to 3 different organizations, fought for the belt, defended it, and then left it for another organization or to go to the UFC. So, you want to play it safe, but sometimes it's hard. It all depends. Like if you're playing it safe, then it's not going to be the most exciting fight all the time. If you go out there and just go for broke and if you get knocked out, what you don't care about it, then it's a different story. When you're the champ, I think you have a lot of pressure on your shoulders to make sure you stay the champ. And you got to kind of let go. You kind of saw that with the Anderson Silva fight when he fought him. It was a lot of respect, and he could have done a lot more. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. I think he has. I think he tried to move up to 205, but he was just not big enough for that. So I think 85 is his home, but I don't know who's really going to challenge him there.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think Alex Pereira is the guy that's going to beat him. I think Izzy has just gotten so much better since they fought in kickboxing, and I would expect Adesanya to win that one. I think the question that a lot of people have is, to get back to the 45 division, if Volkanovski goes up and fights Oliveira for the title at 55, can he be the guy to go in there and beat Oliveira? Or do you think right now Charles is just too slick?
Honestly, Charles has come so far, and I remember fucking being in Mexico City as a fighter guest and him missing weight and eating McDonald's that week to now becoming the champ. I mean, granted, he missed weight and, technically he's not the champ. Again, someone fucked with the scale, so it's kind of fucked up. Now they have to have security on the scale 24/7. So that's interesting. He was only off by half a pound. When in Mexico City, he was off by 5 or 6 pounds. It was a way different Charles Oliveira. I think he's matured and realized, get your shit together, and that's what a lot of people need nowadays. Get your shit together and do it, or just get the fuck out of here. Don't bother. So he got his shit together. I would love to see, if any fight, Charles Oliveira and Khabib. That would be an awesome fight to watch. And I think at this point now in Oliveira's career, I think that could be a fight that where when Mayweather came back, like, oh, you might lose this, it might be your first loss. I can see that happening with Khabib. You know what I mean? But it's a tough fight. And again, if he could stop the takedown, then it's a different story. But Khabib's been training too, so it's not like he hasn't been training. He hasn't been like out of the gym. He's in there. You see videos of him, so that's a tough one. Everybody, I think the fans would love to see that fight. I can see Khabib coming back for the fight, and I can see it going either way. That's a not an easy fight for Charles, and I think as long as Khabib can get him down, I think he'll be okay. But if he can't get him down, that's gonna be a hard fight for Khabib too. But everybody's been so nervous when they fight Khabib about the takedown that if you don't get nervous, I mean, you just stated the basics, and I don't know. I guess some of these guys don't have the best, defense to wrestling. Um, it would be interesting to Chandler. Chandler has a good mindset with Khabib. I was expecting a lot more from Gaethje when Gaethje fought Khabib, and he just you just saw him. He was just so worried about the takedown that, and ended up getting the best of him.
Yeah. Well, we might see him against Khabib's protege, Makachev, who's very, very similar to that. And that could be an interesting title fight.
Yeah, but Khabib's still better. No offense to Makachev at all, but Khabib's still the GOAT there. People always talk about who's the GOAT, and you can't say who's the GOAT because you have different eras and then different weight classes. I mean, you've had guys like I still consider Silva, even though he competed with these guys, but look, he competed with these top level guys, and most of the time he was staying in there. Um, I think he took Weidman lightly the first time, and then the second time, I mean, he broke his shin. That shit happens, so that sucks. But he's competed with these guys and hung in there. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think he's unbelievable. I think St. Pierre came back and fought, Bisping at 85. He went in there, won the belt. I think he's still an unbelievable fighter. I would always, someone always ask me, what was the matchup you want to see? We want to see the matchup with George St. Pierre and Khabib, whether it's at 155 or 170, either one. I think 170 would be good for Khabib too, because he's a big dude. I got to stand next to him in Brooklyn one time for a press conference, and like, damn, he's fucking big. So like him and GSP at 170 would be an awesome fight.